Macca's Guides.
Hey everyone, Macca here and welcome to a long-awaited video. This is my 100% full game walkthrough for Genesis Noir, where I'll take you through the entire game and will unlock all of the achievements along the way. This game will take us approximately 2.5 hours, as you can tell by the duration of the video, and this is a point-and-click adventure game that is available in Xbox Game Pass and has released in March of 2021. The story itself is somewhat simple. You play as No Man, and you're using the Big Bang as a metaphor for your romantic relationship. At the main menu, there were some options in terms of choosing your language and your cursor speed. I'm going to be playing on English here and leaving the cursor speed at default 1 so that you can follow along, start a new game, and then go through all of these introduction screens. Also, if you want a little bit of backstory as we wait for the game to begin, the idea for this game began all the way in 2013. It was a prototype for a game and gained a little bit of popularity, and then it became a Kickstarter in 2018, and it met its goal, and now it's finally out. Additionally, all of the achievements in this game are story-based, so you could play through and naturally receive all of the achievements, although there are 2 endings. We'll need to do both of them. I'll show you a trick for that. If you were to play this game naturally, though, it would probably take you around 5 hours, so we're cutting that time in half, obviously, by knowing all of the solutions to every puzzle. Also, this game does have, like, checkpoints and chapters and that, so you don't have to do the whole game in one sitting if you don't want to. That's up to you. And the controls are super simple. Move the cursor with the left stick and select things with the A button. Otherwise, everything is super easy and intuitive. Also, if you feel like at any point it's going too fast, feel free to slow the speed down to 75% on the YouTube desktop viewer. Now, the first piece of gameplay here starts with you selecting one of the shadow people from the kind of middle ground. And once you select them, one of them will come over to you, and you are a watch dealer. All you'll need to do is press and hold a watch, pick it up, and then give it to the person. They will then walk away, and you need to repeat this a total of 3 times. So just sell 3 watches to 3 random shadow people in order to proceed. After you sell 3 watches, you will be shot into a little bit of a different camera angle where you can use the left stick to walk to the right of the screen, kind of like a side scroller. So just continue walking into the right until you reach the clock tower, which you really can't miss. As you get nice and close to the clock tower, a cutscene will start and we'll regain control of our character once inside. Once inside the clock tower, just move your cursor across the garbage can and then move your cursor across the telephone. This will knock both of them over, and then you can walk towards the telephone by clicking on it a second time, and your character will automatically take interest in the note on the ground where you will get the phone number. As soon as you get to the phone, the clock will turn into a rotary phone, and we must dial the phone number 9806650. You'll dial it like a rotary phone. Hopefully you know how that works or follow the video. And then this will trigger a scene change. Now the actual scene change takes approximately like a minute, so don't worry about that. I'll rejoin you with commentary once we are ready. You will then be presented in front of a large door, select it, and then select the handle and start wiggling it up and down. This will start yet another little cutscene and bring you to the title card of the game, where it introduces basically Genesis Noir. Now, you will eventually regain control of your character. This will be obvious when the game goes from widescreen to full screen. And once that happens, what you want to do is use your cursor to grab the flask right in front of No Man, and then select it and he will drink. And some bubbles will start appearing, and you'll need to pop these bubbles. To pop the bubbles, all you'll need to do is just move your cursor around them and you'll be brought to the next scene. Now, once you land back on the ground, you'll enter this room, which is a common theme in the game. The first thing you'll want to do is pan to the right-hand side, and you can select a dressing table to take a couple of notes. After taking some notes, you can click on the mirror to exit this scene. And the character in the middle of the screen, his name is Golden Boy, and he may have sparked the beginning of the Big Bang, but click above them to find the shell casing, and here you can actually rotate it in order to reveal a spiral on the base, and then when this glows, it will trigger a cutscene and end the prologue. Now, unfortunately, there is no achievement for beating the prologue, but we will begin the first kind of real chapter of the game, which is called Seeding. And we'll have to wait for a short cutscene now. I think now may also be a good time to give a shout out to AJ, aka Memedude, who did help with the filming of the video gameplay you are watching. Now, at this point, you should gain control of your character and you'll just move them with the left stick. What you want to do is just run around in a spiral until you reach the golden character near the middle. And then once you reach them, just interact with them. This should grant you a couple of seeds. Make sure you actually pick up the seeds off the ground. And then what you can do is click on your character, click on one of the seeds, and then you'll basically use it to open up one of the white gates by dragging and dropping it on top of the gate in order to break it with the plant. So do this in order to break through the gate near the top of the screen, and then walk through and go to the right, interacting with the other golden person. Now you'll pick up some black seeds off the ground, and the black seeds will allow you to go through the black gates. So open up your hand, drag and drop the black seed on top of the black gate on the right hand side, this should grow a plant and destroy it, and then we can continue to the right hand side, going up to this hole and then planting a seed of any color inside. As soon as you plant a seed inside, you'll be brought to a screen with a flower. What you need to do is color all of the dots in the middle with the cursor, and then once that is done, you have to pull off all of the petals individually in order to complete this little puzzle. Eventually this flower will turn into like a sun or a source of light, and then you'll just want to click on it and click to the side in order for it to grow. Just continue doing that until it grows bigger and bigger and bigger until it fills the screen. You're basically just holding it and then holding, in my case, I'm holding to the right. Once you regain control of your character, a new path will open up to the right-hand side. So walk across this kind of new bridge and then head down, and you'll notice that there is another hole. If you interact with it, you can plant another seed inside. I'll use another black one here. And then once you plant a seed inside, you'll be taken to another kind of mini game. A short cutscene will start here, and then clouds will appear above you. All you need to do is click on as many as possible to make them rain, which will fill the lake, grow the plant, and complete the mini game. Then you will once again regain control of your character, and a new path will appear. If you go down on the screen, you'll find another hole, and here you can plant another dark seed. This will take you to our third minigame, where you can drag a frequency slider at the bottom of the screen, and if you do this correctly 3 times, the plant will grow. It is the same every time, so you can follow exactly what I'm doing on screen here, and you can kind of tell when you're doing it correctly by the way that the frequency and everything is kind of moving on screen. You can tell that also through the audio, which lets you know when it's correct. So we went a little bit to the right, and then for the second one, we went a lot to the left. And then for the third one, we're going about halfway to the right. And this should complete this minigame. At this point, you will regain control of your character again, and you can head to the right across this newly formed bridge. Here you should find another man, and if you talk to them, they will grant you with some new seeds that we didn't have before, so pick those seeds up. You can now head back to where we kind of came from, and you'll actually have to head back across to the left-hand side and kind of go down and to the left. Here you'll find yet another place to plant a seed, so interact with the hole, and we'll plant another dark seed here. This will bring us to a starry night background for another mini game. At this screen, all you want to do is grab the background and rotate your left stick clockwise, and just keep rotating it clockwise. You'll have to do this for like 30 plus seconds. After enough day and night cycles, the plant will be fully grown. You'll be brought back to the hub world, and 3 new paths will appear. We're going to want to head to the left path first. This will lead you to a character that will give you some seeds. After the left path, you want to take the right path. This will grant us another character with even more seeds. And then the third and final path we need to take is the one down. So after collecting seeds from the left and right path, head down the middle path and then select your character and select a white seed to break this barrier next to this rock. This will allow you to then talk to this person in the middle who will give you more seeds. Then continue following the bubbles to the left and up, and you'll be brought to a cliff's edge where you can talk to yet another person who will drop you even more seeds. After collecting these seeds, head down from where you are, and you should notice that there is another blockade of the white ribbons. So use your seeds to break this blockade. You'll need to use a white seed, obviously. And this will grant you access to a path on the left here where you can plant another seed into the ground, and this will bring you to yet another minigame. In this minigame, a tree will spawn and you just have to tap it to kind of cut it down, and then more trees will sprout, kind of the branches will multiply. Just keep destroying some of these branches until birds start appearing in the top of the tree. Once there are 3 birds, instead of cutting down the tree further, select the 3 birds inside of the kind of foliage at the top, and this will complete the minigame. After the birds, you'll have a new path. You'll have to head left and follow the bubbles to the next hole. Once at the next hole, yet again, you will have to plant another seed in order to play a little bit of another minigame. In this minigame, you'll notice that there is a plant with a bunch of debris blocking its roots from reaching some water. So you'll just need to remove all of the debris from the underground areas, and you'll just kind of click on them and drag them up. And if they are larger rocks, you kind of have to break them first and then brush the black rubble aside, and eventually you'll reach the bottom. Once all the roots have reached the bottom, just click on the kind of bottom area to create a hole for the roots to connect to the water, and this should finish the minigame. If at any point you don't know what to do, just follow the glowing root and figure out where it stopped and why it stopped, and then clear that area. At this point, a new path will appear up kind of ahead of you, so follow the bubbles directly in front of you up the little hill, and you will find a man here, and you will want to talk to them. They will drop some gold seeds, which we will, of course, want to pick up. Now what we want to do is go down to the right, and here we'll find a new hole where we can plant the golden seed. Unlike the other plants, this one is just a cutscene, which I will join you with commentary once it's done. After this cutscene, a new path will appear to the right-hand side, so go that way and continue along the path. You will then see the golden gates up ahead of you, so walk up to them, and here you'll want to plant a gold seed at the golden gate in order to open it up. Then you can walk forward and talk to the next person here in front of us. It is a little bit tricky sometimes to walk to them, but interact with them and they will drop some more seeds for us, which of course we'll need to pick up. From here, we'll want to continue up the path and to the left. Once you reach the top, a small tree will appear and a short cutscene will play, but select the fruit directly above the other character's head in order for it to drop and bonk them, and then they will grow into this like mega large enemy, and a 30-second cutscene will begin. Once you do regain control of the cursor, there's really not much on screen for you to press, but there is a spiral. Click on the spiral a total of 3 times. This will start a little bit of a short cutscene, and then we can click on the spiral a 4th time, and we will put it into our pocket. Then our hand will come out, and we can click the spiral on our own hand, and then this will end the chapter, bring you back to where we were, and luckily you will unlock your very first achievement called Seeding. By the way, the place we're going back to is the crime scene. Then, after all the evidence is put on the board, we can leave this screen by heading to the left and then clicking out. Click on the large gun explosion in order to examine it, and then click the dots from the right going to the left. These are kind of the chapters of the game, and we're going into the next chapter. So you'll click the first 4, and then on the 5th, it'll generate a diamond. And this is the pathway to the next chapter of the game, which is called Starstruck. Once the diamond appears, you actually have to click on it in order to enter, or else you could go back and select a different chapter. Once you gain control of your character here, just continue all the way to the right past the little ember, and you will eventually find a lit match. Once you are focused on the lit match, you can click on the smoke clouds to clear them, which will clear the fire. You can then click on the 3 items here, which is the lit match, the book, and you can click on the Miss Mass flyer, which is kind of the most important thing, which will take you to the next screen. On this next screen, click on the alley to the right-hand side of the Starstruck. And then you can select the door to enter the club. Once in the club, select the spotlight in the top left, and then this will turn it on. And then you can do is click the stage and hold the click in order to begin to move closer to it. Once you get a little bit closer, you will be able to select the bottle on the table here. We're approaching on the right-hand side. So select the bottle on the table to the right here. And then once you select it, some bubbles will come out. So we'll click on the bubbles. You have to do this a total of 2 times in order to trigger a change of the sequence here. At this point, you should regain control of your character again, and all you need to do is follow the bubbles in order to make your way towards the planet in the background. Once you walk into the planet, you should meet Golden Boy again, so that's how you know you're going the right way. Now select Golden Boy to get his attention, and then click the smoke that is kind of hiding his cigar in the background. And then you can click on the flame of the cigar in order to put it out. You will then be brought to the next screen where you can interact with the cigar in order to examine it and take it with you. After that, as before, your character should raise their hand to reveal a spiral, and you can click on the spiral to complete this easy and short chapter, unlocking the Starstruck achievement. Clicking on the spiral will take you back to the kind of dressing room. It'll add the cigar and another spiral to the dressing table. You can then head back to the left-hand side of the screen to select the gunfire again. And then again, you want to go from the right to the left and then click on the dots until one of them turns into a diamond. And then you can select this diamond to start the next chapter of the game, which is called Reflection. Once you gain control of your character, just begin running to the right-hand side of the screen and follow the bubbles. This is a little bit of an introduction into the chapter. You will eventually reach a giant tie, and you'll be able to select it, and this will start another cutscene. I'll rejoin you with more commentary after that. Here you should notice the bottle that is at your feet, so click on it and you will begin drinking it. This will generate more bubbles, so just click on all of the bubbles. I think you have to repeat this a total of 3 times until you are brought back to where we came from. Once back here, you can now begin to head to the right, and we are on the lookout for Golden Boy. As you approach Golden Boy, they will stand up into the water, and you'll notice that no man is near the bottom of the screen. You'll need to pick up the rocks in order to throw them to kind of get his attention. You will have to throw a total of 3 rocks, by the way. After throwing a total of 3 rocks, they should throw a flower back at you. There will be a short cutscene, and then what you can do is click on No Man in order to clap to get their attention. Every time you clap, they will play more and more, and basically we just have to keep applauding their performance until we can no longer do it. I think you have to do it a total of like 6 times. Once they are done, they will take a bow to conclude their performance, and then you will get a little bit of a zoom in into the reflection of the water. At this point, a short cutscene will play. And once it concludes, you can just walk to the right and continue walking into the right until you meet the ocean. Once you meet the ocean, we will go to the kind of next part, which is a bunch of puzzles where we will connect the dots. So now we have all these connect the dot puzzles, which seem kind of difficult, but they're not too bad, and you should be able to follow the solutions in the video to a T if you are struggling. So you'll just drag two dots together to create a line between them. If you want to erase a line, just click on it and it should erase. The first solution is to create these three unique lines. And then once you start having these gold dots, start with the gold dot and then connect it to the closest white dot, and then connect all of the other things together separately from that. A lot of the puzzles will also kind of automatically complete once you've done enough steps to prove that you know the solution. On this third puzzle, you will need to rotate the screen a little bit, so keep that in mind. It helps you kind of get a better 3D view. But again, we're just gonna connect the white dots to the closest gold dots available, and then once you kind of go into the middle, everything else should kind of automatically complete. So you're just gonna keep going through these until you're done them all. Completing the fifth and final connect the dot puzzle will trigger a short cutscene, and then we can continue. This section's kind of weird, but just drag your cursor and hold A until these weird organism shapes form another shape, and then examine the shape and it will kind of fall apart and they'll fly away. And you'll have to repeat this process a total of 4 times, which will then trigger a cutscene. I believe this is supposed to be like a metaphor for what is the early beginnings of what we know today as chemistry and chemical bonds and atoms and neutrons and stuff like that. But eventually you'll reach these 2 shapes with a circle in between them. Click on that circle and there will be what I believe to be a chemical bond being formed. After that, 3 shapes will be spit out onto the left of the screen, and make sure that you select them from left to right to create a specific type of shape. And after you do this, a new gold shape will appear on the right-hand side. So click on that gold shape, and then a circle will form in between them, and then you want to click on that circle in order for these two new objects to come together. The first time I played this game, I thought this was maybe like a metaphor for the creation of gravity, but then I realized that it's like single-cell organisms turning into multi-cell organisms. Then what you want to do is click in this specific order, which is the cylinder, then the star, then the ball, and this will make a new shape. Click on the gold item to bring them together again. There will be a circle that forms between them, and then what we can do is click that circle. To make the next creature, what we want to do is pick the cylinder, then pick the glowing stick on the left-hand side, and then the star. This will create our next shape. Click the gold item to bring them together, and again, a new gold creature will be created by both of these together, and this should trigger a cutscene after selecting the romantic circle in between them. After this short cutscene, you should see a saxophone kind of on top of a hill in the background. Just click on it multiple times, and then you will eventually be able to see the spiral in the middle of your hand. And we'll be ending the chapter by clicking on that spiral in the middle of our hand, which will then bring us back to the kind of hub world that we have visited a few times. And that will end the chapter called Reflection. That should also unlock another achievement for you, and we are making good progress. We're about maybe a third of the way through the game, maybe a little bit less. Once back at the crime scene, you will place the saxophone as well as another spiral on the wall. Back out from this screen, go to the gunshot, and then again we are going from the right to the left, clicking through the dots until we find the diamond. Once we find the diamond, we will be able to start the next chapter of the game, which I believe is called Hunt. At this point, you want to grab the galaxy and then rotate clockwise in order to rotate the galaxy. Keep rotating it until it completes. You'll eventually change the scene. You'll get a nice picture of a deer, and then I'll rejoin you with commentary. Once you regain control of your character, just follow the deer tracks to the right, and you will see the name of the chapter itself, which, as I said earlier, is Hunt. At this point, continue past the title screen. You'll have a small scene change as you pan across this tree, and select the big leaf in the middle in order to reveal some tracks underneath. This will take you to the next scene. In the next scene, hover over the large leaf in the top left corner. This will move it to the side, and then you can reveal a couple more footprints. This will bring you to the next screen where we have to do this yet again. For this one, you want to move the kind of large leaf near the right-hand side of the screen to reveal yet another set of footprints, and then follow those yet again. Once you reach the river and regain control of your character, you'll want to start by crossing it and then continue heading up to the top of the screen. Once you reach the very top, you'll want to take a left-hand turn, go to the end, and then hook back around, and then you'll be able to find a cave. Once you spot the cave, go inside and just follow it until you reach the end. After this small cutscene, use your cursor to select the lady a total of 3 times. She will continue drawing until there is a full deer. And once she's done, just begin running into the screen back through the cave to end up back where we came from. Once outside of the cave, just follow the tracks. They will all kind of eventually end, but just follow like the middle one that goes the furthest. This will bring you down into the bottom right corner of the screen where you can find the knelt woman, interact with her, and then follow her to the right. At this point, move the foliage in front of you to reveal a deer, and then this will trigger a cutscene. Upon reaching this screen, what we want to do is we want to grab the moon and then rotate it clockwise. This will basically pass the time and turn the deer into a bone. Once it turns into a bone, you'll want to pick up the antler, and then we will present our hand, and No Man's hand will have a spiral. Click on the spiral to complete the chapter. At this point, you should know the drill. We are back in the dressing room. All of the clues have been added. You want to click on the gunshot, aka the Big Bang, if you haven't put 1 and 2 together, and then select the little circles from right to left until you find a diamond to select, and that will start the next chapter. The next chapter is called Gather, which is pretty fitting after we just did the chapter called Hunt. At this point, you will gain control of your cursor. Just grab and tap on the asteroid to smash it, and now you should be able to begin to pan the screen to the right-hand side. You just want to get all the way to the right until you find an arrowhead, and then once that happens, you'll be brought to the next scene. Once you reach this scene, we are going to continue to try to travel to the right-hand side of the screen, but there will be some foliage that gets in the way occasionally, so make sure you just clear it with your cursor before continuing all the way to the right for another scene change. This will then bring you to the title screen for the chapter, and now we can press and hold A over the grass, and we'll be searching for hidden rocks, and then just select them to build the actual chapter title. There will be a total of 6 rocks you need to select. After building the word gather, the screen will pan to the right-hand side. It will unveil a shepherd with some sheep on the hillside, and we want to click on all 3 sheep in order to unveil the next piece of the path. Upon reaching this screen, click on what I believe is a rug in order to allow it to fall, and then press and hold to the right to drag the screen until you see the vase. Here you want to grab the vase and then hold it until it smashes. Once it topples over and smashes, you can inspect it, but you can also go and continue to the right-hand side. Here you will reach a wall with an open door. Click on the door, and then click on the tower through the doorway. Now we can follow the new trail to the right-hand side, and there will be some bricks here. We want to grab the bricks and then just drag them around to unveil the picture behind them. This will unveil a new trail to the right-hand side, so continue on. You'll reach a lotus pond. Click on the lotuses. As you click on the lotuses, it will unveil a further path. This will eventually allow us to pan to the right, which will unveil a statue, and we can select it in order to break it. and then investigate the debris, and this will trigger yet another cutscene. The screen will eventually fill with ash, and what we're going to do is press and hold A to clear the ash from the middle of the screen, and click on the staff. After clicking on it, just pick it up, and this will basically complete the chapter. As always, we will raise our hand to see the spiral, click the spiral, this will bring us back to the chapter select menu, and we'll get an achievement. As always, we will add the evidence to the room. We can go back to the Big Bang, select the dots from right to left until we find the next diamond, which is the next chapter, which is called Thaw. At this point, you will gain control of your cursor and grab the earth and drag it downwards until there is a storm, and this will signify the season of spring. This will start a small cutscene now, and we'll have to do this for all 4 seasons. Then drag the earth to the left until it grows gold, which will signify the summer. Now move the earth to the right to trigger the leaves on the screen, and this is obviously the fall. Then grab the earth and use the direction of up in order to start the snow, which is the winter season. This will bring you into the title card of the chapter. Once here, head up and to the right, and this will bring you to a hut. Once you reach it, it will trigger a cutscene. At this point in the cutscene, you'll see a list of things that they need, which includes wood, water, and tea leaves. At this point, the cutscene pretty much ends. You can click to the left of the screen, and now we're going to go and gather some of these items. So head down and to the left and follow the path here. You'll eventually reach an intersection with kind of like a black monument of some sort. And just below that, we can find our first item, which is the wood. From here, rejoin the path above you and then continue to the left-hand side. We're gonna go for our second item now. We are looking for a cart, but just keep following the path until you reach it. Once you reach the cart, the scene will change. Use your cursor to uncover the cart and select the drawer in the middle on the very far right. Once you click on it, drag it up to open it. This will unveil some tea leaves, which No Man will automatically grab. After the tea leaves, join back onto the path and keep following it. You'll see a fence right here with a small gap. Just head through this fence and then continue to the right of the screen. You should stumble upon this frozen lake, and next to the middle of it, you'll find a watering hole with a pail of water, so pick that up. And now we have to head back all the way to where we started. Once you do reach this screen, you want to click on the smaller hut and then click on the list of items to give them all to the hut. Once they grab the items, you can click on the larger hut entrance. And once inside, you can interact with the fire pit in the middle of the room. You're gonna have to wait for the fire pit to glow gold, which can take a bit. And once it does, just click on it and this will trigger a quite lengthy cutscene actually. At this point, a cup will show up on the table in front of you, and you can move your cursor over it in order to tip it over and break it. This will then transition us to the next screen. There's kind of like a bunch of these panels, and we can just click A to continue moving through them. We're basically waiting until we get to the last panel. And on that last panel, there will be two pieces of tray that is right in front of us. And we can interact with these two pieces in order to join them together. And this will kind of complete this section and trigger another cutscene. So this is kind of what I was talking about earlier. There's this broken tray with two pieces. Just drag the top piece into the bottom piece, and then you will combine them, and this will bring you to the next screen. The next thing we'll need to do is we'll need to drag and drop these pieces into the shape in the middle of the screen. And what we're trying to do is we are trying to basically solve the little like jigsaw puzzle. And we're just going to continue doing this for a couple of different shapes until we complete these puzzles. Keep in mind, obviously, that these are all 3D. There are certain steps that need to be followed, and you can rotate the piece in order to solve the puzzle. So the first one kind of looked like a Russian nesting doll. The second one is a skull. And then the third one is the little glass that we broke. After you complete the cup, just click on it. This will prompt you with a spiral, which obviously signifies the end of the chapter. There will be a short cutscene now. No Man will present his hand with a spiral inside of it. Click on that spiral to end the chapter, grab the achievement called Thaw, and then you'll be brought back to the dressing room with some new pieces of evidence. So at this point, you've reached the dressing room. You'll add your evidence to the dressing room table, and you'll go and select the Big Bang. Select the circles from right to left until you find the new diamond chapter. The next chapter is called Improvisations, and at this point, we are roughly halfway through the game. As the chapter starts, the first puzzle we'll have is a frequency tuning puzzle. So the first thing we're going to do is go 3 to the right. You can obviously do this through the visual and audio cues that the game gives you. But the first one we're going to do there is 3 to the right. And once that locks in, we are now going to do the second one, which is 4 to the left. And then the third one, which is 1.5 to the right. And then the fourth one, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way to the right. You'll now gain control of your character and you can begin walking to the right until you reach the bottom of a staircase. This takes like a solid 30 seconds, but just keep walking, you can't miss it. Once you reach the staircase, select No Man to head up the stairs. And then you can select the train and hold it to the right, and keep holding it to the right until a golden lever shows up on screen. Once that happens, select the golden lever. At this screen, you want to click on the train and then drag it down the screen until the doors open. Once they open, No Man will get out. Once No Man appears on the right-hand side of the screen, just select him 3 times, and this will trigger it to the next scene. Here you want to select No Man and then drag him in the direction of the sound waves. For this first one, you'll be dragging him to the right. And in the second panel, you'll want to drag down. On the next screen, you can select the cello or upright bass player in order to trigger a cutscene. Just keep selecting him until the train tracks fill up. This next little minigame is a classic example of Simon Says. You'll just have to play back what he plays. So for the first one, I'm going to select 3 and then 1. For the second riff off, I will select 3, 1, 2, 4. And for the third riff off, I will select 3, 1, 2, 4, 2, 3. You will then reach a screen where we just have to play random notes, a total of 3 different times until we progress the scene. At this point, you'll have a whole bunch of notes show up in front of you. Just hold A across them and turn them all gold. Once all of the notes fade to black, just select one of the men watching in the background. This will trigger yet another cutscene. At this point, we want to click on the screen and select either to the left or to the right. This will form a little bit of a city skyline, and eventually a train will spawn. So just keep spinning around until all of the blocks kind of form all of the buildings. And once the train spawns, you want to select it and then drag the train to the right to move it, and then this will continue the scene. After the scene is continued, you can pick up the upright base, and this will pretty much conclude this chapter, which is either about the invention of music or jazz. I'm not really sure exactly, but obviously we'll have the spiral on our hand. Click the spiral. This will bring us back to the dressing room with some new evidence. This will complete the chapter and unlock the achievement as well for the chapter called Improvisations. So after adding the new evidence to the dressing room, we can do a quick achievement check. We should have 7 out of 14 achievements for 490 out of 1,000 gamer score, and we can continue to the next chapter by selecting the Big Bang, moving from right to left until we find a new diamond, and this will begin the next chapter, which is called Collision. Start the chapter at this point and use your cursor to pick up the rocks and throw them. After throwing 2 of them, it will continue the scenes. Once you reach the title card, which is Collision, head to the right-hand side and you can inspect the short tree. Here you'll find a napkin. tap on it 2 times to unfold it, and this will continue you to the next scene. After this giant bang, just continue to the right-hand side. They'll keep happening. The world will like light on fire. There will be comets and great disasters. Just keep walking all the way to the right-hand side of the screen through all of this until you reach a door. Once you reach the door, head on through. This will enter you into some kind of bar, and then you should see some drinks in front of you, and select the highlighted one in order to approach it. Now, as with all the drinks in this game, a bunch of bubbles will appear above you. Make sure you hold A to pop them all, and this will repeat a couple of times. Just keep doing it until you trigger a cutscene. Once you lay down here and gain control of your cursor, just grab the background and then begin to rotate it clockwise and keep doing so. The faster you rotate, by the way, the faster the scene will progress. Once all of this is done, a matchbook will appear. So click on it to open it and take a match, and then strike it at the bottom in order to trigger another cutscene. There is a lot of cutscenes in this game, but it is a little bit of a visual experience, so it kind of makes sense. Once you regain control of your character, you want to select the button in the bottom right, which is like a spiral, in order to move on. After this, the screens will continue to move until you are brought back into the kind of laboratory. And here you'll want to select the lunar lander that's kind of in the back of the screen. This will bring you closer, and then there will be a monitor, and then that will kind of crash to the ground. And you'll just want to wait a few seconds here. You'll notice this new flashing monitor right in the middle of the screen, and you'll want to click on that in order to enter a new series of puzzles. Now the goal is to get a wave on screen and light the light. So for the dials, we're going to center them both. Then there's a slider in the top left of the instrumentation, move that all the way to the right. And then there is a selector near the top right, and select the other option. This will light the light, click on it in order to proceed. Now just wait until you are able to select your next option. At this point, click the spiral in the bottom right-hand corner. Then once we go back to the laboratory, click on the chalk. This will bring you to the board, and now you can continue on to the screen for the next puzzle. For the second puzzle, repeat all of the same steps by centering the two dials, increasing the resistance, and selecting the bottom right-hand corner option. On the new instrument, what we want to do is select the dial so that it's pointing up, and then on the kind of amplitude thing, you want to select that so it is in the center. This will light the light, which we can then click and continue the same process again. Again, once you reach this screen, select the spiral in the bottom right-hand corner. This will bring us back to the laboratory. Once there, click on the board. Once there, click near the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. This will give us a heat-resistant flask. You will be able to join the screen again for the third puzzle. For this third puzzle, you want to start off again by centering the two dials, making sure resistance is selected to the right. You have the right kind of wave selected there. On the instrument on the right-hand side, you want to select it so that it's pointing directly to the left. You want to make it so that the wave amplitude is about halfway. And for the top instrument, which is the new instrument, you want to select the frequency at about 1/4. This should light up the button, which you can then click and proceed to the next screens. Yet again, we'll be able to select the spiral in the bottom right-hand corner. This will yet again, no surprise here, bring us back to the laboratory. There is a new radio dish at the bottom of the screen that we can pick. And now our character will create the invention of the radio wave. And then this will bring us yet again to one more puzzle. Now with this puzzle, we're going to start at the very top with the frequency, turn it down so there's just like two little white bars showing up. In the middle instrument, make sure that slider is on the right and make sure the selector is on the bottom right. With the two dials at the bottom there, make sure they are centered as always. In the bottom right hand instrument, make sure it's pointed to the left and that the amplitude is halfway. And then for the new instrument, point it to about 75% on the dial. This should light the light, and you know the rest. You should know exactly what to do here. Click the spiral in the bottom right hand corner yet again. This will bring you back to the laboratory yet again. There will be a new item, which is these vibrant flowers on the wall. So select one and then you will give these, you'll be given these flowers or give them, I'm not even sure. And there is one more puzzle to complete by selecting the monitor. So last but not least, start with the frequency slider at the top and slide it almost all the way to the right. Then make sure you have your cogwheel selected in the bottom left, resistance all the way up, center the two left and right dials, and then we can move on to the next instrument in the bottom right. Make sure the dial is pointing upwards, select an amplitude of about half, and then in the newer instrument in the top right, you want to click in the top right button and select the dial at about 25%. And then the newest instrument above the TV, select the top slider to about 10%, and then you can click on the glowing button. You know what's next. Click on the spiral in the bottom right hand corner. This will yet again bring us back to the laboratory. Don't worry, we are actually done the monitor puzzles. But you'll want to, once you can, pick up your notebook, which will be found at your feet. Once you pick up your notebook, click on it to flip through the pages and flip through to the very end. Once this spiral appears on screen, hover near the top in order to break it, and then just follow it to the center to break it completely. Now what you want to do is pick up these pieces and drag them into their proper location in order to rebuild the silhouette. Once all of the pieces are together, just select them all to turn them all gold. Once your finger appears on screen, you want to push it left to touch the top of the spiral, and this will trigger a cutscene. Here you'll want to pick up your notebook and then flip through it all the way to the very end. And then what you can do is tap on No Man's Hand. There will be a spiral there, and then you will click on that spiral to complete the chapter, earning the collision achievement and bringing us back to the dressing room for the next chapter. As per usual, more evidence will be brought to the dressing room table, and once you're able to, you can back up, interact with the Big Bang, and then you can select the next chapter by selecting the dots from right to left. The next chapter is a shorter one. It's called Orbiting. So at this point, you'll reach the title screen of the chapter. You'll want to grab the sun and rotate it clockwise until rings form around it. Then grab the rings and find the spot in which they almost turn fully gold. Once you find that spot, a kind of light beam will connect to these rings. And then all you need to do is select this structure and examine it. Click through the examination to trigger the cutscene. At this point, a bunch of no men will spawn in front of you, and there will be a door. It can be a little bit hard to see, but it's definitely there. Just keep clicking on the door, and you'll keep entering and getting closer and closer to it. Eventually, Miss Mass will answer the door, and we can proceed. Now that Miss Mass has opened the door, she'll hand us a drink. We will take a sip and some bubbles will appear. Use the A button and the cursor to take care of all of the bubbles as usual. You'll have to do this 3 times. You'll then go through the door and regain control of your character eventually. Now here you'll kind of notice that Miss Mass is stuck in a black hole. Just grab and rotate the screen around this black hole to make it bigger and bigger, and it'll eventually start kind of filling the screen. We're trying to fill the whole screen with this black hole by rotating things around it. Once it fills up the entire screen, a short cutscene will play. This cutscene will conclude with a flower, which we can pick up. So pick up that pretty obvious flower, and then what we can do is tap on No Man's Hand Spiral. And as always, that is the end of the chapter. I told you this one was pretty quick. Obviously, this will bring us back to the dressing room with some more evidence. We will unlock the achievement called Orbiting, and we will then be allowed to kind of continue the game a little bit further. Once back in the dressing room, select the Big Bang yet again, pan to the left-hand side, select the dots from right to left until we get the next chapter. The next chapter is called Voyage, and this is another short one. The first thing you'll want to do once you gain control of your cursor is select the departures board near the top left of the screen. You'll see Sirius at 4:25, Vega C at 7:05, and Cygnus at 11:15. Then back out and select the clock near the top middle, and you'll want to set the first time of 4:25. This is an analog clock. If you don't know how one works, you can try Googling it, or you can just watch the video on screen. Set the first time, which is 4:25, and then back out. Then select the second time, which is 7:05, and again back out. Last but not least, select the clock again and input the third and final time, which is 11:15, and back out. A short cutscene will begin to play now. At this point, you'll regain control of your character and just head to the right until you see the title sequence, which is Voyage, and then just keep going past that until you reach the very end of it. You'll then be brought to this screen with a satellite, and you have to rotate the satellite to find the golden record on the back of it. This is an actual thing on an actual spaceship blasting off, I think, somewhere near Neptune at this point. You can go through this screen, proceed to a checkpoint, and this is already the end of the chapter Voyage. Mr. No Man will bring out his hand to present yet another spiral. Click on it in order to end the chapter. Get your achievement, obviously, and then it'll bring us back to the dressing room. At the dressing room, we can continue as we always have been. Obviously, once back in the dressing room, select the Big Bang, move it all the way to the left-hand side, select the dots until you find a diamond. The diamond will bring you to the next chapter of the game, which is called Singularity. This one is maybe a little bit longer than the last two, but it's not that long in general. This chapter, as with many, begins with a short introduction and then a cutscene. I'll rejoin you with commentary once there's something to do. At this point, No Man's hand will show up on screen with some spirals. Drag one of the spirals into the center object. Once you reach the title screen, begin moving to the right-hand side following the letters, and you'll eventually spot a floating globe. Stand close to it, and then you'll be able to interact with your character. This will bring up your hand, and you'll be able to select one of the spirals in your hand, and then drag and drop it onto that globe. This will progress the scene. Once this kind of circular squiggly pattern shows up, just select the center of it and drag it to the right in order to open this portal.
Stop, old friend.
At the end of this short cutscene, you can begin to move to the left in order to find Everyman, a new character, and then they will split into 4 people who you have met throughout the story. And once they are split up, you will need to select each one of them to hear them speak. Just click on all 4 of these characters, allow them to speak.
Please stop, ancestral spirit.
Stop now, eternal demon.
Stop time. Beat, brother.
And once all characters have spoken, a text dialog box will show up at the top saying "Stop worrying, time traveler." Just click on that to proceed the scene. Then a bunch of smoke will appear on the screen, and you will want to use your cursor in order to clear it. Then you will talk to this person. A dialogue box will show up at the top of the screen. You'll want to click that. After that, No Man will raise his hand to reveal a gold spiral. You'll click on that and then it will proceed. After this, a bunch of text screens will show up, so just continue through those until you reach a matchbook. Once you reach the matchbook, open it up, pull out a match, and strike it in order to light it. Now at this point, you don't really have to do anything. With the lit match, you can now walk around and it will slowly begin to fade, and then darkness will happen. You'll need to light a second match, and then you'll have to just wait again until that match extinguishes, and then you will light a third match, and automatically you will find the gold watch. So just keep lighting matches and keep walking around until that happens. So upon lighting your third match, you will find the golden watch. Click on it in order to continue. Then No Man will have a seat, and you can click on them with the watch to pass the time. Then the matchbook will appear, and you just need to continue striking matches until the matchbook is completely empty. This will take you a minute or so. I think there are like 7 total matches, and don't forget you need to pass the time in between each one by clicking on No Man. Now, once you reach the last match in the matchbook, make sure you strike it to light it, and this should start a pretty short cutscene here, and you will eventually be brought to the next screen with all of the items you've been collecting throughout the game. Hold A on them in order to burn them all. Once they are all sufficiently burning, you will pan out from the screen. A short cutscene will happen that will lead into a loading screen, and then you need to tap on the fire repeatedly to turn it out. A door will spawn in front of you, wiggle the doorknob in order to break on through, and then end the chapter. As always, at the end of a chapter, you will unlock the achievement for it. If you want to do a quick achievement check, we should be at 11 out of 14 or 770 out of 1,000. There will also be some on-screen text, which you can quickly go through, and you'll be brought to the next screen. Now, this next chapter is one of the last ones of the game. It's called Singular and will unlock the achievement called Free Will. It'll start with your hand being raised. Just tap on your hand to make it crumble away, and then wait a little bit until the cutscene concludes. After regaining control of your character, begin to walk to the right, past the title screen, and you'll continue walking until you reach a golden statue. Once you reach the golden statue, just interact with it a total of 3 times in order to move on. You will then see Everyman. The camera will pan back and you will have to select the dialogue boxes to move the conversation along. Just keep clicking on Everyman or the conversation until it's done.
You're mad, but you're here now.
After selecting the conversation saying "we see," you want to sweep away the flowers and then put them on No Man's arm in order to form an arm, and that will trigger a cutscene.
You look at me.
And I can see.
The love we share.
Eternally.
At this point, Everyman and No Man will spawn on screen together, and you'll need to paint these discs gold. So we'll start with the first one that's pretty obvious on our left-hand side. Just drag across it until it fills up and becomes very colorful. And then once that happens, just drag your way all the way to the left-hand side of the screen. You'll find this golden disc, drag it, and then circle around it in order to fill it. And this will bring you into the puzzle called The Hunter. The Hunter is actually super easy. Just drag across the leaves in order to reveal them in the spiral down below until you reach the bottom, and this will complete. Once back to this kind of hub world, there should be a disc located kind of directly above the one we just did. Go and select it and then dance around it. This will bring you to the next puzzle. This one is called the Ronin. The Ronin puzzle is pretty easy because it is quite literally a puzzle. There will be a couple of puzzle pieces that you'll drag up the screen, fit them into the rectangle to complete the picture, and this will complete this puzzle. You'll then be brought back to that kind of hub world I was talking about, and you will want to continue up the screen to the next circle and obviously select it and then dance around it. This will bring us into our fourth section, and this section is called The Musician. For the musician, it is a simple Simon Says yet again. I will read out the Simon Says commands as they happen so that it is nice and easy. The first sequence is 2, 4. The second sequence is 2, 4, 3. And the third sequence is 2, 4, 3, 1. This will then spit you back out into that kind of hub world. Last but not least, move on to the next circle, kind of near the top of the screen. Dance around it in order to fill it. This will bring you to our fourth puzzle, which is called The Scientist. This is going to be a little reminiscent of the laboratory. But all you'll need to do is move the top slider to the center, and then move the bottom slider all the way to the far right, and then you can push the button. After completing this, there will be a dance in front of us, and then we'll be thrown back to the hub world. Once you get back to the hub world, you basically have to fill up all of the white lines and turn them gold, and each kind of node or section is like its own lyric of a song, I think. But basically every time you fill up a box, you'll get like a small little mini cutscene, and then once you fill all of them up, you will proceed to the next section. So just go and basically paint all of the white little notes golden. I think there's like one near the top, 2 near the middle, 2 more kind of near the bottom middle, and then another 2 kind of near the bottom. But once you do fill them all up, it'll start like a whole dance sequence that is several minutes long, and I will rejoin you with commentary once that's all done. So just turn all of the notes golden and watch the dance. At the end of the dance sequence, you will be able to click on this kaleidoscope in the middle between, then click again to make it go away. Then you'll want to just select the door and then push up until the end. This will trigger yet another cutscene where I'll rejoin you with commentary.
Can we stop it?
No.
Eventually, you'll reach this section where they are both sitting on the bench and they will be looking directly at you. What you want to do is you want to drag the screen to the right in order to end up behind them. Once behind them, just click on the green door, which is the Endless Hunt. Now you'll probably notice there are 4 doors. Each one kind of corresponds with what we were doing before, which is the hunter, the Ronin, the musician, and the scientist. But these aren't really puzzles. These are actually really super simple. And once inside a door, hold up in order to move forward. What will happen is you'll go through these doors until you kind of reach the end. And at the end, there will be 3 heads. And all you need to do is click and hold the 3 heads from left to right. So we're gonna grab this yellow one and hold it, and then we're gonna wait, and then we're gonna grab the next one in line, and then we're gonna grab the next one in line until we're brought back to the sequence where we were sitting on the bench. At the end of each chosen head, you will need to click on something. So here there's like these bones, just click on them to be snapped back. And obviously you're holding forward the whole time in order to proceed through these scenes. So just go through all 3 of the heads in the first door, and then you need to repeat this process in the second door, third door, and fourth door, going in order. So this section is super simple. You'll just work your way through all 3 heads in all 4 doors for a total of, I guess, 12. And this is super simple, so I won't do commentary through the whole time, but it does take a while, so I'll rejoin you in about 5 or 6 minutes when we're done. Now, once you reach back to the bench, you will regain control of the cursor, and all you need to do is hold down in order to zoom out. Just keep zooming out until you can no longer zoom out. I try not to flat out explain the stories in a lot of these walkthroughs I do. I prefer if the gamer kind of makes up their own mind, but this is a pretty important section if you want to know more about the story. So if you are paying attention, now is a good time to keep paying attention. Eventually, you will have zoomed out as far as you possibly can. Now you want to click on the circle near the middle of the screen and zoom back in all the way back to the bench. Once you zoom in all the way to the bench, another cutscene will begin, and I'll rejoin you after that. The only thing left to do in this chapter is to wait for this cutscene to conclude. No Man will present his hand on screen with the spiral in the palm, as always signifying the end of the chapter. Click on it in order to finish it off and unlock the free will achievement. After that, just select your way through all of the text screens. Now, this next chapter of the game is the last chapter of the game, and you'll be given two options at the end of the game to choose between. I'll guide you through that. But the chapter itself begins with a long cutscene that is multiple minutes long. So I'm just going to let that play out for the first time as you're playing along, and I'll rejoin you once there's actually a decision to be made. Here, you'll regain control of Everyman and head to the right until you reach No Man. Once every man reaches No Man, you will regain control of No Man. Then you will be presented with the doors again. Keep clicking on the door until you reach it and Miss Mass opens it. Now, once you reach the door, this is basically the conclusion of the game, so make sure you drop a like on this video if it's been helpful. I would really appreciate it. You can also share the video with a friend. That would be super cool too. But once you do reach the door, there are two endings, and we need to actually do both of them in order to grab both of the achievements. You'll be presented with a left option and a right option. And just click on either one you want and the achievement will unlock. At that point, you can either just pause the game, exit to the main menu, and then press continue. You'll have to replay a section of this chapter again, and then choose the opposite answer to get the other ending and the other achievement in order to actually complete the game and get the 1000 gamer score. The option on the left is known as the not alone ending, and the option on the right is known as the alone ending. After you kind of lock it in, it'll take around 30 seconds for the achievement to unlock. Feel free to write it out if you do actually want to know how it ends, but you can also exit to the main menu and then press continue. And here you will have to replay a section of Exodus, but I will save you that and not make you watch the entire thing, as it is just the thing we basically already did where we walk to the right and then select the opposite ending. So I will fast forward a little bit at this point. So as I mentioned, we got one of the endings. We're gonna basically back out to the main menu and then we're gonna press continue. This will bring us back to the beginning of the last chapter of the game. That chapter starts with a long cutscene, and then you'll have to walk to the right and click on the doors again to be presented with the options again. Click on the opposite option that we picked the first time to get the last achievement of the game, and this should be your 1000 out of 1000 gamer score. Again, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to drop a like on the video, share this video with a friend. A super special thank you to everyone on Patreon for supporting the show, including Zarias and Puffy Vins. Hopefully I see you soon with another full game walkthrough. Peace.